All right, so with our handsome Mr. Teddy, ready, sir? We were gonna go and work a little bit with some novelty in the sense of trying something new. So this is just he's like, what the heck? This is a little kiddie pool. Technically, it is a dog pool, but it's seen better days. So I don't know how well it would hold water anymore. But I know we mentioned a little earlier about adding some enrichment when we were talking to Mr. L's family. Good job, Teddy. So it can be really nice to sometimes set up little zones for different activities for your puppies. So I know we mentioned the confidence building class. I know he just graduated from his puppy graduate. So he, for example, like some of his other classmates, there's no pressure to do so, but there's all different programs that might be really beneficial for puppies through teens, but of course adults can join too. Um, but let's say, for example, the confidence building class was the class that we had talked about a little bit too. There's going to be some of this novelty involved where there's different sights and sounds and textures and obstacles to kind of go in and out of. I know he's a bit taller, so he can easily walk into this pool. If it was a shorter puppy, we do sometimes lower it to the side so they can climb in and out versus having to jump in. He practically could walk in. So the benefit of trying novelty with your puppy going into teen is that for a lot of puppies, if they don't keep practicing exposure within their comfort range, they're gonna have a hard time when things start to seem overwhelming or novel. So what I mean by overwhelming is things that your puppy could care less about last time when they were much younger. It wasn't because they were actually maybe comfortable with that setup or that distraction. It was because at that age group, novelty didn't seem as overwhelming. When your puppies go into adolescence, so 6 months and above till about 18 months to 2 years, give or take, your pup is going to start to realize there are things around them that could be new, and therefore novelty could be dangerous and I should pay attention, which for some puppies turns into barking and lunging. For others, it might turn into like shutting down or being unsure or spooking from things. This is a very normal developmental stage, but how we deal with it and how we help them will either make a more confident and resilient adolescent into adult. So right now, all I'm doing with Mr. T, just like we did a little bit earlier with Mr. L, is allowing them to self-explore within like the snuffle mat, or this again has a few kiddie balls inside, so like almost like a ball pit. So anytime your puppy can go and explore at their rate, but then also go search for goodies, that can be really nice for them for their mental and physical. So I know we discussed with Mr. Leon earlier how allowing your puppy to take softer moments to do other activities can be very good for them. I know with Mr. T, you guys had mentioned that you're doing a good job, that he sometimes is now romping in the yard to the point where he is running around and then acting a little bit sore after. Remember that for a lot of giant breed puppies or even smaller dogs or puppies is that they don't always know when their limitations are being reached. So some puppies, just like littles, might go until they're finally crashing or until they hurt themselves. So you were asking about him playing in the yard and like all of a sudden he goes bananas and goes into like wild man zoomy mode. Remember, it is very normal for your puppy to go into zoomies and have a good time frolicking and using their bodies. But if you're finding he's overtired or overstimulated, he may use his body in a way that is maybe not the greatest for him. You may also have some growth spurts going on right now where he will be sore even if he's not doing anything. So I would just gauge it and play it by ear depending on what he's giving you for behavior and for what he's giving you for comfort range. So I know all the babies are now singing, they said. Why not? So if let's say, for example, Mr. T is already sore and limping, I wouldn't go ahead and now include, for example, more activity. So I know you mentioned you're playing very soft, like fetching games, like where he'll frolic and go and grab it and then frolic again, versus high intensity fetch, which for a lot of puppies can lead to joint issues or ligament damage. So you may find maybe doing some slower activities too and rotate through both. where maybe sometimes you do foraging, maybe you have a kiddie pool, maybe you've got a safe place to do find its in different little zones that are maybe not as messy as like the grass. I know for some folks is tricky because there's a lot of bunny poop. So the problem with like bunny poop is then while your puppy is foraging for snacks, they're also picking up bunny poop, which can be a little challenging for us and for them, especially if we're trying to avoid that type of foraging. So he's doing a very nice job. I know the pupperoos are like, we'd rather just come back out. They were out for a little bit. They do like a midday rotation through zones and playtime. And sometimes they are like, we would like to come back out again. Nice job, sir. So they're all singing. So I think Miss W and Mr. L are both in the same zone. They're in their own little sections, but I think they're both singing to each other a little bit. Nice job. So Mr. T is doing a very good job. I'm breaking up his little Bill Jack snacks into itty bitty little morsels. So I'm literally just putting a few crumbs in here, and he has to move the little balls out of the way to go forage for the food. And he's working up a big pant, even though he's not moving very much. And it's not super warm in here. So sometimes having to use his body and his brain to find things with his nose is rather tiring, which is great. So this is really pretty. Nice job, sir. I'm trying. What a good boy. So maybe we'll try a little bit. Ready? You want to see if you can come on out? That was very nice. So obviously going in and out of something novel can be challenging. So we'll see if he'll sneak right back on in. Oh, see, now he's feeling much more comfortable. That was beautiful. I don't know if you saw earlier where when he was first trying it, he was a little hesitant and kind of slinking his way over to the pool. But now he's starting to figure it out. We also have the train going by, which might be a little bit weird for the babes too. But they'll get in the groove. He's doing a very nice job. We'll do some more little find its. So doing some foraging like this in an activity like a kiddie pool can be really nice because this could be brought inside as well. So maybe while the littles are doing their thing, he might be foraging for some of his kibble in a kiddie pool. So I'm not saying 24/7 do you always have to have something going on for your puppy. But maybe it's one of those days where it's just been a very busy day. You haven't been able to get out as much. You're trying to include other options to your repertoire of what to do with your puppy. This could be one of the really easy but fun ones to do is to have a few even old like bins or containers that he can put his head into and reach okay. Chewing is optional still for all these wilds, where he can then go and try to find the morsels that are maybe stuck between his dog toys, or maybe you've got some household items that you could use as things he has to move around with his nose. So, but this way you can give him something to do that gets him mentally and physically more tired without having to be physically as active. Because maybe it is one of those days where his joints are feeling a little bit sore from those big growth spurts. Nice job, Mr. T. So maybe we'll try a little bit going to our bed. That was very nice. And we'll warm up a little bit with maybe some of these, excuse me, place and stay behaviors. I'll move it a little closer so he's easier to see. Oh, I wonder if he's going to go grab some water. Maybe he's thinking about a little water break. No? You all set? So we might bring him back to his bed. Yes. He's like, but the pool was really quite fun. Here you go. He's getting to be such a big boy. He's like, I'm going back in the fun pool. What are you doing? Do you want to do the pool or you want to go back to your spot? Ready? He's like, I have not yet decided. He says, the pool seems much more fun. So there might be a few morsels still left in there, which is fine, but he's doing a really nice job. So whenever your puppies can also self-explore, it's a great way to build comfort. And that's where, again, that confidence building class might be another great venue for all of the babes. Whatever feels comfortable, though, for you, for your schedule, too, is also important. But it can be nice because it can be done at the puppy's leisure. So as your puppy is getting more comfortable, they could then feel, maybe I will try the teetering board, or I'll give a try to a wobble board. Or maybe they'll walk over, oh, chew them, sir. Or maybe they'll walk over the cardboard where last time they felt the cardboard was just a little too much. But that could be a really great venue, because I know you mentioned like sometimes for him, he's sometimes getting a little bit unsure or spooky with certain things that before he didn't seem to care about. So it is a very typical developmental change in the puppies. But remember that adolescence is one of the hardest periods for you and for them technically. So you're both in the same boat. But it could be one of those situations too where sadly a lot of folks do end up returning or giving up on their dog when they're about a year old. And the reason behind that is Sadly, a lot of times folks don't always realize how much goes into the adolescence phase. And if he takes a break, that's okay. So a lot of times adolescence is where, if they're still intact, you're dealing with hormone changes as well, which is great for their physique and for their mental everything. So if your baby's still intact until you're ready to alter down the road, that's fine, or keep them intact. Again, there's a lot of different options now for you and your dog. So check with your vet to see what you think might be the best option for you guys. Most folks are waiting to alter their dogs until they're fully done growing. So for Mr. Handsome Pants, it could be closer to 2, but it's up to you guys. So ready? We might bring him back to his little bed, get that gorgeous little sit. You almost fell. He's like, I didn't see the edge. You get a little slimy? Thank you. So I'm going to tell him to stay. But when working with him, adolescence will challenge both of you. So if you're finding you're just having a lot of not so great days, like I mentioned a little earlier, for some of the other beauties, is you can always make the world a bit softer and smaller until you have a better base, and then include more of that distraction or difficulty. But if, let's say, you're always going, he's like, I've had it, lady. If you're always going and hoping it somehow changes, but we're still setting them up the exact same way, you're not going to get a different response. More than likely, you're probably going to keep building on the response you weren't loving, and it's probably going to get bigger. So if there's something you're not loving the direction in which it's going, try to be, again, proactive and figure out, well, what would I rather have this puppy do? Or what can we do to help them be successful? Ready? I'm going to come back over here. He's like, the bed is not as fun as my pool. Well, we found out that Mr. T enjoys the kiddie pool, so that's fun. And I know you mentioned, I think you did get him one, because I think you were saying you were going to start filling it with some water for him, because he does love water. So that's another great venue, is you could even bob for snacks. I had a kiddie pool for one of my girls, and she loved to go swimming. She would only swim in deeper water, though. She wouldn't swim in the kiddie pool, but she would bob for carrots. So the carrots would sink to the bottom, and she had to go dunk her whole face into the pool, almost like she reminded me of a hippo searching for snacks underwater, and you'd see the bubbles coming out. Good job. So right now we're just going to warm up with a little stay. Nice. What a smart boy. So, but if your babe is, again, having a hard time, they're not trying to be naughty. They're just, again, trying to explain, and the only way they can is, I'm not getting it, or I need a breather, or I need more help. This is really pretty for Mr. T. Yes. And their little wrestles have gone so nice. It's so cute to watch them now engage with each other. So you may see, so notice how he has broken a few times from his place. I don't go and scold a dog for making a mistake, because technically getting off the bed is part of the exercise eventually. Even though he got off before I had asked him, no biggie. Because if I make it where it's too stressful to even try to be, let's say, for example, trying something novel with me, he may not feel comfortable trying something down the road or responding to me and want to check in. So always think to yourselves, if the puppy's having a rough time, maybe lower the criteria for a moment and give him something that's a little bit easier, or the beginning stages of it. He says, I'm going to live in the pool for the rest of the class, he says. This is his new favorite place. So, but if, let's say, he's really finding this to be sort of fun, we'll do a couple little more find its, but then we will move on to a few other little fun skills for the handsome man. But you can see how this might be a great way to add some enrichment that keeps him busy while you need to do something else. So it could be a nice option for him, so he can keep building on some of this like decompression throughout his different developmental stages. Because I know you had mentioned, I need a cough drop. It's a little dry in here, so don't mind me. I promise it's not a dog snack, it's a cough drop. So you guys may find for this handsome guy too, is adolescence comes out, and so do his genetics. So I know you had mentioned that at times he might notice something and do like a woo woo and like guard the perimeter of the yard. So I would highly recommend that. I know it's normal dog behavior and it's normal for a guardian breed to guard, but we want to be a little bit cautionary that he doesn't start to take up the responsibility from his end and feel more anxious thinking about all the stuff that's out there that could come get him. So helping him realize that novelty across the road or your neighbor is benign is going to be really important, because we don't want him to feel that this is something he has to do on his own and then start to decide who can and can't come near or into the home or whatever it might be. So novelty should still be comfortable and safe, not scary and overwhelming. Nice job. So we'll do another little find it. But maybe what we'll do is we'll give Mr. T a little breather from his pool, even though it's his new best friend. And we'll go ahead and we'll work a few more little skills in just a second for this handsome guy too. But really, really nice work he's doing today. And very brave boy going into the kiddie pool with all the creepy balls in there.